What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. I'm Derek Larger. Joining me, Matt, my friend from Inside the Horseshoe podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about some of the free agents that are still left on the board and what we think we could do with that. Well, obviously, now the quarterback situation is figured out. Colts don't no longer need to look anywhere for that. Now we can start focusing on the other things of need, aka weapons for said quarterback. We'll start here with the wide receivers. Is there anyone, Matt, right off the top that you want to discuss first that you think we should try and go after?
I think to me, the guy I would go after first is probably Jarvis Landry. I feel like him and Michael Pittman would be really cool together. I think they would fit in real well. And I think Jarvis Landry would have really nice numbers if he played with a quarterback like a Matt Ryan. Because we saw what he did with Baker Mayfield, who Baker's a good quarterback, but I think we can all agree Matt Ryan is a better quarterback. So I think Matt Ryan and Jarvis Landry would have a really nice connection too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just a matter of what he actually wants. There's been reports of him potentially going back to Cleveland. Other teams that have been very interested. I mean, he's probably one of the largest sought out wide receivers on the market at this point. So, he's probably going to take his time dealing with that. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to get Jarvis. It's just a matter of his price point's probably going to be higher than anything
Probably.
else. So, you never know. But I think another one that I know that the Colts have had contact with, that is Marquez Valdez Scantling. Market value is just shy of 9 million at the moment. Is only 27 years old. It's going to be 28 when the season starts. I wouldn't necessarily say I'd say he could be our number two, but he definitely could be a solid three for us going forward. What do you think of Scantling here?
I like him, he won me a lot of money, so he already gets that, that going for him. So there's that. But no, I think he'd be another you know, good addition to this team. Outside of Michael Pittman, he would definitely be the best receiver on our roster at the moment, depending on who else we add. He kind of fits what Chris Ballard wants. He's someone that can stretch the field. So yeah, I mean, I would go after Scantley.
What's your thoughts on Julio Jones?
Um, it's nice to kind of have that potential of Julio and Matt Ryan reuniting together. I think that'd be fun to see in Atlanta or in Indianapolis. And, it'd be fun to watch him score a couple touchdowns on Tennessee. I think that would feel pretty good too. Um, it's got to be a cheap deal. I'm not going to sign him for a ton of money. It's going to have to be more of almost like a prove it type of deal because he is dealing with injuries pretty much every year now. He's kind of gone down a little bit each year over the last couple of years. I still think he could be valuable to the team, but there's other guys that are around his age that I personally would prefer. But if they went after Julio Jones, I wouldn't be upset depending on the price.
Yeah, I think the only way I would accept him is just if you got him for a really cheap deal, which I just don't know if Julio wants to do that. But then again, a guy that's been dealing with hamstring injuries on and off for the last 3 years and is 33 years old, those aren't going to go away anytime soon. I mean, I just don't know what his market is at this point. But another wide receiver that I think that people aren't really talking about is Keelan Cole. Was a wide receiver with the New York Jets. It was somebody that Michael talked about in our live stream Saturday. One of the younger guys on the that's left on this. He's only 28 years old, and I've always liked Keelan Cole as an athlete. What would you think about Keelan?
I'd be for it. I think he could benefit from having a quarterback like Matt Ryan too, because he's played with what, like Sam Darnold. He's played with Zach Wilson in his first year. Guys like that. So he would get a big upgrade when it comes to quarterback play. So I think that would be good for him. And again, he would be one of the better guys on our roster at the moment. So depending on the price, yeah, I'd take him. I don't think it would cost too much.
Is there anyone else on this list that you definitely would like us to keep an eye on?
As far as who's not in-house, not really at the moment, but there's a guy I want them to bring back. He's kinda right there,
Oh my
Mr.
gosh.
T.Y. Hilton.
Well, I assume you probably saw by now
Yep,
the little emoji of, you know, him pen to the paper.
yep,
Uh he's saying he has signed a contract, just not sure what I'm not sure what that is exactly.
yeah,
Not sure if that's with the Colts or if that's with someone else right now. We don't know.
yeah,
Um, my guess is that if it was with the Colts, then he probably would have already said it, but
right,
it's not.
and
We'll see. I don't know. What about
right.
OBJ? I haven't heard you say anything about OBJ.
Um, you know, I'm more open to it now. Last year I wasn't 100% for it at the time just because you hear all the rumors of, oh, he's not a great locker room guy, but I think that pretty much got put to bed this past season when he was with the Rams. It seemed like he was good with the Rams. He was a good teammate. Obviously, he fit in really well, and we saw that with a good quarterback, or I should say, a really good quarterback. He is very productive. He does good things. So I think you could see similar things with him in Indianapolis with Matt Ryan. It's just, he's not going to be back to what, November? So again, it's got to be a cheap deal. I'm sure that's what he's kind of, anticipating that he's going to get. I don't think he's expecting a big contract at this point, especially with him coming off of that ACL injury. So, yeah, I mean, it's got to be cheap, and you got to have other guys in there while he's out till November. So,
Right.
I'm more open to it. I wouldn't be upset if they got him. I would be cool with it. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
I think the only other wide receiver on this list that I would jump to potentially is Dede Westbrook. I
Mhm.
know Dede Westbrook the last two seasons, 2020 didn't play all year, had that injury, and then 2021 goes to Minnesota. He just never got involved.
Yeah.
Like they never got him involved. He played in 15 games and had 10 receptions. Don't know
Mm.
why. He just never got involved. And it's weird because like the previous 3 years prior to that, he combined for like 160 catches in
Right.
those 3 seasons. So like I just don't know where that's gone to, but I feel like Dede definitely still has some more in the tank.
Yeah. That definitely could be the case. To be fair, don't know too much about him. Haven't really watched a lot about him, so I don't know how, what he could bring to the table as a whole. But you know, sure. Why not? Do you not want a reunion with Chester Rogers?
Oh my
You
god.
don't want a reunion
Miss
in
me with that
Indianapolis?
crap, bro.
Let him
Miss
run
me
out of
with
the
that.
tunnel,
Miss me
standing
with all the
ovation,
drops.
like,
Miss me with all the drops.
can applaud him
I
as he
would
runs
I I
out.
would I would know what his, hands look like if he
Yeah,
actually used them properly.
true, true. Um,
The man could catch punt returns for a living, but couldn't catch a football as a
right.
receiver. I don't know how I don't get it,
As I
but
always say with guys like that, he would drop the pen before signing the paper. So, um,
oh my god.
yeah.
Alright, let's move to left tackle here, Dwayne Brown.
Dwayne Brown, I know a lot of Colts fans like him. No, I don't need him. Maybe he would do better with our offensive line playing next to Quinn Nelson, but didn't he allow like 8 sacks last year?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was a
Again, I just think with the way that offense was. I mean, again, remember he was also playing against quarterbacks too that weren't used to playing. So,
I mean, true,
maybe a couple
but
of those sacks were warranted. I don't know.
I mean, that could be true, but I mean, he had, I think, 1 less sack than a Eric Fisher that was coming off an Achilles injury. Um, so, I mean, I wouldn't go after Brown. A name I kinda see brought up that I think could potentially be intriguing is Cornelius Lucas. Maybe somebody like him, depending on the price. And honestly, it sounds like they're gonna roll with, Matt Pryor. If he
Yeah, I know.
comes back
I
for
was
cheap.
about to get to that, saying that yeah, they are sounding like they're going to give him a chance. Now, they didn't
Yeah.
say that that is definitely their answer
Mhm.
because he would be dumb to suggest that that Pryor is the only option for us at left tackle right now.
Right.
My guess is with that reaction is they're much more looking at the draft to get
Mhm.
somebody rather than going in free agency where you
Yeah.
can get a guy and mold them behind that instead of paying 10 to 15 million for a left tackle that
Right.
might only play like 10 games.
True. I mean, there's guys like Abraham Lucas in the draft that they might look at depending on where they fall in the draft.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you'll disagree with me on this. If it's a cheap deal, I'm not 100% against bringing back Eric Fisher because Eric
Yeah, I
Fisher
wouldn't.
came off of
No,
that
I
Achilles
agree with
injury.
you actually. I've been on the track of if they got him for a vet minimum that I
Yeah.
would be not against bringing him back. I
Right.
know
Mm.
that it wouldn't be the best option, but
Right.
I mean, again, for a cheap, I think that maybe his numbers would actually be better without
Mhm.
Wentz being the quarterback
Right.
and maybe a whole off season to recover from that Achilles injury.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think that it actually could
Yeah.
work in his favor, but I just don't know if the Colts believe that to be true.
I honestly think he's gonna play much better this season. I
I
think
think
he's
he
gonna
will
have a
too.
much
I think
better
he'll play
season.
better.
So I'm not against it. I know a lot of Colts fans are like, "Get him out of here," but I mean, look, Matt Ryan, he's gonna get the ball out quick. He's gonna get it out a lot faster than Carson Wentz. I
True.
depending on the price, man, I'm not against it. I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it if it was a small contract.
Right.
So I'm not even going to discuss tight ends
Right.
in this list. Obviously, it's a need, but I mean, all the tight ends are gone to me, other
Pretty much.
than
Yeah.
maybe Gronk. And I think you and I both acknowledge that. And
Yeah.
I think outside of that, the tight end market is extremely thin at this point.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like there's much of a need for that. I think you probably just draft one at this point, which is what I told you specifically
Yeah.
Saturday. I did not want them to do, but we had to wait on Matt Ryan
Yeah.
and we couldn't get a tight end to come here and play with us because we didn't have our quarterback situation figured out. But
Oh.
anyway, we'll go into the corners now. It's the last thing here. Depth purposes wise, I wouldn't even say we're that bad when it comes to cornerback depth right now,
Yeah.
but I think we truly need a number one corner. I know everyone's saying, "Oh, face on, look at him, he's coming up, man. He could be potentially a number one." I need to see a lot more out of Brandon Faison before I'm willing to
Me
accept
too.
that he's a number one. So, I mean, simple fact for me, man, I think the Colts should go get Stephon Gilmore.
I agree. I think he's going to the Raiders, if I had to guess. But if they can get
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore and he hasn't like made his mind up yet, do it. I mean, they freed up some cap space. They got $26 million to spend. Honestly, with how deep this draft class is with receivers, I would prefer to go after a corner. I prefer to go after Stephon Gilmore before going after receiver. And some people are going to disagree with me, but look at all the receivers, man. Look at the speed. Look at the athleticism. Look at it all. I mean, there's some guys that I think are going to fall to round 4 or 5 that have potential to be starters in the league. So I would use this money, and I'm sure they'll probably try to restructure other contracts, but use this money that you have right now and go after Stephon Gilmore. I mean, I can't imagine he would cost like $20 million or anything like that. He,
Nah, he's
he-
31 years old, but you're definitely gonna have to pay a hefty price for
yeah.
him because
Say
he's Stephon Gilmore. He's still got it
say I'm
quite a bit. I mean, people have been talking about Tyrann Mathieu
mhm.
quite a bit. I don't think I've heard much about you saying anything about Tyrann Mathieu much.
Yeah, I want him. If he wants to come to Indianapolis, bring him. We can run, you know, you know, formations with 3 safeties out there. Like,
Mhm.
I know a lot of people are like, yeah, we shouldn't go after him. We're good on safety. No, we're not. I mean, Julian
I mean,
Blackman's
we are
coming off
good on
that injury.
safety, but I mean, for Gus Bradley's system,
Yeah,
the way he runs his scheme of defense, there's a lot of different ways you can use a player like Tyrann Mathieu.
yeah, and also Julian Blackman's coming off of that torn ACL, injury. So there's that. So bring in Tyrann Mathieu. Look, like, and I love Kari Willis, but if you had to make me choose between him and Tyrann Mathieu, I'm choosing Tyrann Mathieu.
Right,
So
and Matthews going to be 30. You
yeah,
know he's not going to be around for very long, but you know that you can have Kari Willis as well
yeah,
in that mix, and you know you're still going to have him as your long term plan.
yeah. Like I mean, like I said, you can have all three of them out there. You can, interchange and consistently move them in and out. That way, you know, you constantly have people that are, not out of breath and that are fully energized out there. You don't lose like a beat. So
Right.
I would bring him in. Absolutely. It's probably going to cost a decent penny, but I mean, it feels like he's coming to Indy.
I would certainly hope so. I don't think he's going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Unlike what the reports say, from what I've heard, that a lot of those reports are BS.
Yeah.
And
Say,
they've re-signed both their safeties as
yeah.
well, so it doesn't sound like a recipe for bringing Tyrann Mathieu in. So,
Right.
hey, Ballard, just go give the Honey Badger what he wants, man.
Yeah.
Time to bring another playmaker into this defense to make plays with.
Fly down to Disney World, hang out with him and the family, eat some Mickey Mouse ice cream bars and
Oh
ice cream
my god.
sandwiches,
All
right to
right, let's
Splash
move
Mountain.
on. Let's move on. All right, we're good with that. All right, you said Patrick Peterson. You
Mhm.
brought that name up a little bit. I've been bringing that name up quite a bit when it comes to this stuff. What more merit do you think there is with Patrick Peterson?
He look, as far as I know, he doesn't feel like he's, washed. That's all the kids like to say. Still has some talent, and honestly, I think he's good enough to be a number one cornerback. I would feel more confident in Stephon Gilmore, but I think Patrick Peterson still has something to prove, and I think he'll go out there and play really good football. I just think if you can have him, Kenny Moore, and then Isaiah Rogers out there together, I'm happy. I feel very confident in our cornerback group.
What do you think the odds are of the Colts re-signing guys like TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes?
So I think there's a pretty good chance TJ Carey could get re-signed. I think that I feel like there's a better chance that he could come back than Xavier Rhodes. I would bring back Xavier Rhodes. He dealt with some injuries last year. Yeah, he's not like you know a number one guy. But screw it. If you can't get Stephon Gilmore or Patrick Peterson, he's probably your next best option.
Here's another one that's been very interesting. PJ Williams,
Mhm.
cornerback from the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at some of his stats and I'm quite surprised. You know, he is since entering the league, he his rookie season played in only 4 games, but after that has not played in any less than 14 games in a season.
Mhm.
Uh, and he's been primarily a role corner for a lot of different reasons, but nevertheless, you know, has a lot of good experience, and he's had a couple seasons where he's accumulated some sacks, a couple seasons where he's forced some fumbles, and he's had an interception in at least every season
Yeah.
except his rookie season. So, you know, he seems like a guy that you know, could be an additional added piece if the Colts weren't looking to go like super expensive.
Yeah, just kind of looking at his numbers, it seems like he's improving too. I mean, obviously, 2018, that was, the year where he had the most tackles of his career. But I mean, 3 interceptions this past season, had 42 tackles, a forced fumble. Yeah, I mean, that's another guy I think that could be an option that would be affordable. I don't think it would cost too much money. So, yeah, I wouldn't be against PJ Williams being signed. That could be a nice little piece to add to this team.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for these groups of people, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think on the Colts positions of need and what the Colts should do at those positions of need. Thank you guys again so much for the continued support. Greatly appreciate it. Also, shout out again to my guy, Matt from Inside the Horseshoe Podcast. If y'all aren't subscribed to him on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing. He's close to 1,000 subs now. So make sure y'all help us get him there. Thank you guys again so much. And as always, go Colts.